Welcome to Karma's Harvest. They say the loudest scream is the one no one hears. But what happens when you are the one who taught everyone how to be deaf? Today's story follows a woman who believed she could erase people from reality with a snap of her fingers, only to find that reality has a way of erasing those who think they are gods. Have you ever felt so ignored that you questioned your own existence? For Eleanor, that question was about to become a permanent, terrifying reality. Eleanor was the director of communications at a top-tier firm, a woman whose entire career was built on the power of perception. She didn't fire people she disliked. She simply made them vanish while they were still sitting at their desks. She called it social neutralization. If a junior executive outshone her or a colleague dared to disagree, Eleanor would whisper in the ears of the staff. She would use her charm and authority to convince the entire floor that the target was unstable, toxic, or better left unacknowledged for the sake of the team's mental health. Slowly, the target would find themselves in meetings where no one looked at them, in break rooms, where conversations died the moment they entered, and in an office where they were never given a single task. She turned human beings into ghosts, watching with a cold, satisfied smirk as their self-esteem withered into nothingness. Her latest target was Elias, a brilliant young strategist who had recently lost his mother. Instead of showing compassion, Eleanor saw his grief as a weakness to exploit. She convinced the office that Elias was using his tragedy for attention, and instructed everyone to stop responding to him entirely. "If he doesn't exist to us," she told the group during a private lunch, "he will eventually stop existing here at all. It's for the best." For 3 months, Elias lived in a silent purgatory, crying in the bathroom stalls, because even his good morning was met with stony, synchronized silence. One rainy Friday evening, Eleanor was driving home, celebrating a successful quarterly review. She was distracted, typing a message to her subordinates about a new ghosting protocol for the next intern, who had stepped out of line. She didn't see the black ice on the bridge. Her luxury sedan spun wildly, slamming into the concrete barrier and flipping twice, before sliding into a ditch. When Eleanor opened her eyes, the world was white, sterile, and blinding. She felt a crushing weight on her chest and a searing pain in her legs. She tried to cry out, but her throat was dry. A nurse entered the room, checking the monitors. Eleanor's heart leaped with relief. "Help, please," she croaked. But the nurse didn't look at her. The nurse adjusted the IV drip, hummed a soft tune to herself, and walked out without a single glance at the woman in the bed. Eleanor assumed the nurse was simply busy. But then a doctor entered with 2 residents. They stood right at the foot of her bed. Eleanor waved her hand weakly, her eyes pleading. "I'm awake! I can't feel my legs! Help me!" The doctor looked at the chart hanging on the bed, spoke to the residents about the patient in 402 in the 3rd person as if she were a cadaver, and then turned his back to her to discuss his weekend golf plans. It was exactly what she had done to Elias. They weren't just busy, they were looking through her as if she were made of glass. Panic, cold and sharp, set in. Every time a staff member entered, she screamed until her lungs burned. She threw a plastic cup at a passing orderly, but he simply stepped over it, his eyes fixed on the wall ahead, and kept walking. They changed her bandages, they poked her with needles, and they moved her body like a piece of furniture, all while talking over her, laughing about office gossip, and never once making eye contact. The psychological torture she had perfected was now being performed on her by the very people who were supposed to save her. She was a ghost in a living body, trapped in a room where the light was always on, but no one ever saw her. She realized then that this hospital was one. She had heavily sponsored a facility where she had recently implemented a high-efficiency privacy protocol that she herself designed to minimize unnecessary patient-staff interaction for high-profile figures. Her own cold, calculated efficiency had stripped away the humanity of the staff, And now she was the victim of her own design. She lay there, tears streaming down her face, finally understanding the suffocating horror Elias had felt every single day. But the silence in that room was only the first layer of her harvest. As Eleanor lay there, invisible and broken, she heard the doctor mention a name that made her heart stop. It wasn't her name. It was the name of the person who was now in charge of her care. And the secret behind why the entire hospital was suddenly following her ghosting protocol to the letter. In Part 2, we will reveal the identity of the chief administrator, who issued the silent order, and the shocking reason why Eleanor's medical records have suddenly disappeared. The harvest is far from over, and the next turn will leave you breathless. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the conclusion of Eleanor's silent nightmare. Your support helps us grow this community of justice. Until next time, remember, the world sees exactly what you choose to show it. Be careful who you try to make disappear.